Hi, welcome back to Spring CS170. This will be the last lecture for week 7. So I have something here which will be covering the coin toss. Right, so here's the coin toss here, heads or tails. I kind of changed it up a little bit, but I think it's still worthwhile to do it the way I did it, and you'll be able to use that for reference on some of your work. Okay. So one thing I didn't mention when we introduced the if um, in here, right? So we did the if somewhere up here. Um, but bottom line is, so we have the if, you have the comparison. Remember, you have the parentheses here and these curly brackets, and then you have the else, and then you have these other curly brackets here to do something, right? This is a less than here, right? So that's to compare, right? Um, Something that kind of tripped up a lot of people in the past, so I want to kind of give you some heads up, is when you want to compare, does something equal to something else? So in this case, heads or tails equals to heads. Look at this, I do a double equal sign here. Okay, if you just use one equal sign, which is a very common mistake on this if statement, that will always be true, right? When you assign one value to the variable, or you assign something to a variable, that assignment will always evaluate to true, right? So anytime you want to compare something, in this case, equals to heads, then you want to use a double equal sign here, okay? Now there's another thing you can do, which again is maybe advanced for this class, but you can also do a triple equal sign, which will also compare the type, the data type, okay? But for most of our use cases in here, double equal should be sufficient, right? So we have double equal, okay? So what did I do here? One thing I did was I created this function called flip, right? And you remember the math.random, okay? And you remember that is between 0 and 1, right? So I just said anything that's less than 0.5, I'm going to evaluate that to be heads. I'm going to return heads from this function. Else, I'm going to return tails, right? So those are only two options here when you do a math.random. It's either going to be something from 0 to 0.5, or it's going to be greater than 0.5 up to 1. Okay, so that's my function, and I went down here, and just for the sake of me keeping this as one HTML file, I kind of stuck it on the back of the pay calculation example. Um, so you have heads or tails. I created a button called Flip Me, and on the click, which is all of this JavaScript code here, I declare the variable heads or tails, and I set it equals to whatever comes back from the flip function. Okay, so that's important here. Flip goes up to here, returns heads or tails. Okay, and then you can see what I did here. I did if heads or tails, and then I said double equals heads, right? Then I have the curly bracket, and then I said the text box heads dot value equals, and this is important too, right? Because if you just use it the way it is before, it's a string. You can't add a string to a number. It'll concatenate the two things together. You want to treat it just like a math function. So you want to say number, make this into a number plus 1. And then it's likewise, same thing with the tails. So if heads or tails equals to tails, then I'm going to take the text box tails and add 1 to it, okay, after I converted it to be a number, right? And then just for my own debugging, I just kind of put in here, I did an alert, flip is, and then I said heads or tails, okay? And then down here, I declared the two text boxes, read only, and I initialized it to be 0 on both of them, okay? So let's go over and see what happens when I did that. So I'm here, when I refreshed it, this is the pay calculation. So don't worry about that. And then here we are, heads or tails. So we hit the toss coin, and it's heads, right? It came back as heads. And this top box, which is my heads box, probably I should have made it more clear. I should have put like heads or tails next to here. but the top one is heads, the bottom one is tails. Hit it again, heads. So now this should go to 2, and it does. Flip its heads, now it should go to 3, and it does. Now it goes to tails, so now this 0 should become a 1, and it does. Got a heads again, so it goes to 4, and tails goes to 2. All right. So this is how we set something where this is essentially like a counter, right? So you keep on adding to this, right? Note this point, convert to number. Note this point for the comparison, double equals, right? And then you have the if else, all this. So I think this probably has a good chunk of different types of code that you can use as an example. I'll be uploading this after I get done with this lecture, so you can reference to it. Again, I really suggest that you practice on your own. Try a couple of these different things on your own HTML files, and let me know how it comes out. Okay, now let's go back to here. And this just wraps up all the different things. So we covered like the functions, we covered declarations of those functions, how to do return of values from those functions, how to do function calls, scope of reference, right? So that's basically variable scoping. So that's like the global and local variables. Remember what that means, and you have to trace the values for the variable. I did that earlier on in one of my earlier lectures. So make sure you understand that. The idea of variable scoping, local versus global. Writing simple functions using the existing functions. Right? You can look these up on the internet. You can try them out on your own and see if you can play around with these. For your assignments, you probably want to make sure you understand how to use the variables as a string versus a number. Okay, and I did a couple of those in my prior lectures, as well as this one where I used a number here. Okay, same thing with the prompt. So those things are important, right? Understanding like how to do the prompt to pull it in as a number versus a string. Okay, so remember we did the 1 times prompt to make it a number. Okay, with the text box we did this number here, right? And remember we did the to fixed. Okay, TOFIXD, XED I should say. Why do we use functions? And then I did this coin flipping for you. Okay, so let me know if there's any questions on those. And then one last thing here, I updated my resources. I'll be adding this lecture here in a second. I'll also add in the sample HTML. You'll also see I put in these resources over here. So the resources, that was work from the module screen, right? Worksheet, variables, and function. You got the answers to the worksheet for the variable and functions. But if you need to, you can go up to modules and you can click on that, and you'll get the same thing for week 7. Okay, so this is week 7 here. All right, that's it for this week. Let me know if there's any questions. And apologies, I was a little bit late for my office hours today, but do remind me. You can send me email beforehand. The other reason is sometimes there's multiple people that show up at the same time, so if you kind of give me some heads up beforehand, I can separate everyone so that maybe you're 15 minutes apart, so people are not sitting around the lobby waiting for the last student to clear out. So do give me a heads up if you're going to be popping into my office hours. Okay, thank you.